Of ratios, proportions within this chapter itself, again on similar triangles. I wanted to spend wanted to spend one day just reminding you what is a ratio, a fraction, what is a proportion, two fractions that are equal to each other, and reminding you how do we go about solving those proportions if we have missing pieces of it. So first and foremost, definition-wise, what is a ratio? And again, the whole goal today is to be able to write ratios and solve proportions. That's what we want to be able to do by the end of the hour. So a quick definition of what is a ratio. A ratio is a comparison of two or more quantities. It's a comparison of two or more quantities. Different ways that we represent ratios. One of the ways we represent a ratio is the way that you're familiar with. A over B. That's just a fraction. That's what ratios are. They're just a fraction, but when we're talking about the ratios part of it, we're talking about comparing two things. The price of gas per gallon. Something like that. How many people play the trumpet as opposed to how many people play the violin? How fast you run, how fast I run. Whatever. So it's a fraction, A over B. Another way that it can be said A to B. It means the same thing. Or another way you'll see it sometimes written is a semicolon B. Just all different ways that we represent ratios. Now, vast majority of our time, 90% of the time, we're going to see ratios in fraction forms where we're comparing two different things. And ratios, one thing about ratios that we need to remember, that ratios can be simplified. Not all of them, but some of them can be simplified. For example, if we had something like 2 over 4, two dogs go to the vet and 4 cats go to the vet. This can be simplified. We can reduce the fraction, so to say. Both of these numbers are divisible by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 2 over 4 and 1 over 2 are equivalent statements. It's just a simplified ratio. Okay? And that's all that it is. Okay? So let's look at a couple of examples where we're just going to write ratios. It says a music store has 40 trumpets, 39 clarinets, 24 violins, 51 flutes, and 16 trombones in stock. We're going to write the ratio of each of those 4 examples in simplest form. So the first one says trumpets to violins. So there's a couple ways we could write it. There are 40 trumpets and there are 24 violins. Okay, put a semicolon between them. Preferred way, 40 trumpets over 24 violins. Now we need to reduce this, to simplify this. So what common number is both 40 and 24 divisible by? 4. Is there a bigger one? Double 4? 8. Okay, they're both divisible by 8, but let's say that you did the 4. Divide both of them by 4. 40 divided by 4 is 10. 24 divided by 4 is 6. So those are equivalent to each other. However, is there a number that both 10 and 6 are divisible by? Well, 2, right? So even if you don't pick the greatest one, you still get to the same thing, 5 over 3. If I would have divided by 8, 40 divided by 8 is 5, 24 divided by 8 is 3. You get to the simplified ratio. And that's exactly what that is. That's a simplified ratio. Okay. Number 2 says flutes to clarinets. So I'll zoom in here a little bit. Oops. So we've got flutes and we've got clarinets. How many flutes are there? 30. How many flutes are there? 51? There are 51 flutes, and how many clarinets? 39. See if we can reduce it. 1 doesn't work, 2 doesn't work. Does 3 go into 51? I think so. 51 divided by 3, I believe, is 17. And again, if you don't know, just check on your calculators. 51 divided by 3 is 17. 39 divided by 3 is 13. And you're done. That's the ratio in reduced form. Okay. Go ahead and give this one a try. Trombones to trumpets. I think I got them both so you can see them both. Trombones to trumpets. And then put it in reduced form. How many trombones are there? 16. Trumpets, 40. It's a number that goes into both 16 and 40. 4, very good. So we're going to divide both of those numbers by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 40 divided by 4 is 10. Okay, now we look at it again. Is there another number? 2. Divide by 2. 2 over 5. Again, could have used the 8 again, but why? I mean, we found one, use it, and then do the next one. That's okay. Any trouble writing ratios? If I tell you the total, just add them up, right? Any trouble? Can we write ratios? All right, now that we can write ratios, the next thing we want to be able to do is we want to be able to talk about, okay, what's a proportion? Okay, so our first goal today was to be able to write the ratios. Our second goal today is to be able to solve what we call proportions. So what is exactly a proportion? A proportion is an equation that states two ratios are equal. So a proportion is an equation that states two ratios are equal. A proportion is written as A over B is equal to C over D. So we have two ratios that are equal to each other. Okay, so that's how a proportion is written. And if you look at 11, 12, 13, 14, and so on, you see that's how they're written. To solve this ratio, we do what's called the cross product property. The cross product property says essentially that we take the means times the extremes. We take A times D, whatever that is, and that's going to equal B times C. It's kind of that butterfly effect. A times B is going to equal B times, A times D is going to equal B times C. And there are other ways to do proportions. You might have done them a little bit of a different way. But cross products is a great way to do them. It's probably the easiest way to do them. Now, it doesn't matter which one you put first. If you put the means first or the extremes, my tendency, and we'll show you what my tendency is we look at question number 11. Question number 11 is 4 over x equals 2 over 7. So if we follow the cross product, I said A times D. So that's this way. That's going to be 4 times 7. And that's going to equal 2 times x. 4 times 7 is 28. You get 28 is equal to 2x. We want to find the value of x. So divide by 2. 28 divided by 2 is 14. So we get 14 is equal to x. Now, generally speaking, I'm probably not going to do it in that direction. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for my variable. And my variable is down here at the bottom. So since my variable is here, I'm probably going to do that cross product first. 2 times x is 2x equals 4 times 7. So 2x equals 28. You get the same answer, obviously. It's just that we're used to the x being on the left-hand side. You don't have to do that, but I don't know. I think it helps to do it. Okay. So if we look at question number 12, we've got 19 over 10 is equal to x over 12. Ladies, why don't you put them in your backpack? I don't want to see them again. Ten times x is 10x. So that's going to be 19 times 12. So that's 10x equals 19 times 12, 190, 208. What is it? 228. Yeah. Divide both sides by 10. You're going to get a decimal. That's okay. X is equal to 22.8. There's nothing wrong with decimals. Decimals happen. Okay, so those have all just been monomials over monomials. Monomial is one term. How does it differ if we have a binomial over a monomial? So now we've got x minus 1 over 6 is equal to 13 over 19. Doesn't change other than the algebra gets a little bit harder. We're still going to do this, but now I'm going to write it out. So that's 19 times x minus 1. That's going to equal 6 times 13. Okay. Notice I wrote it down because now we have to distribute. 19 times x is 19x. 19 times 1 is 19. So we have to distribute that 19 into both the x and the 1. 6 times 13, 78. Okay. Now we have the equation 19x minus 19 equals 78. So we add 19 to both sides. Hey Siri, what's 78 plus 19?
78 plus 19
Okay. So we get 19x equals 97. Divide both sides by 19. Hey Siri, what's 97 divided by 19?
97 divided by 19 is approximately 5.1053.
No, it's approximately 5.1. Okay, again, decimals are okay. There's nothing wrong with decimals. They happen. Okay? And as long as we're solving proportions, put them in decimal form. If you're asked to write a ratio, leave it in fraction form. Let's look at the next one. Any questions with that one? Make sense? We'll just look at a couple more. We're not going to look at too many more. So let's look at number 14. So we've got 5 over 17 is equal to 19 over x plus 4. Okay, we'll do one more together. So I'm going to go 5 times x plus 4. And I would caution you, make sure you write that down. If you just want to skip ahead and just go 19 times 17 in your calculator, you can certainly do that. Hey Siri, what's 19 times 17?
19 times 17 is 323.
Okay, so that's 323. We have to distribute the 5. So that's 5x plus 20. We get rid of addition. We got to isolate our variable. So subtract 20. That one I can do. 5x equals 303. 323 minus 20 is 303. Divide by 5. Can't do this one. Hey Siri, what's 303 divided by 5?
303 divided by 5 is 60.6.
And there's our solution for x. Okay. Any questions with that one? Okay, go ahead and try one on your own. Let's look at question number 16. Give that one a shot on your own. All right, so I'm going to go this way first. So I'm going to go 18 times 3x plus 4. Then that's going to equal 12 times 15. Hey Siri, what's 12 times 15?
12 times 15 is 180.
That's 180. Distribute. 18 times 3x. Is that 54x? 18 times 3 is 54. So 54x plus 18 times 4, 72, equals 180. Subtract 72. So 54 is equal to 108. 54x, sorry. I think that's just 2, isn't it? Yeah? X is equal to 2, because that's 108 divided by 54. Okay. So our whole goal today was to be able to write ratios and solve proportions. Are we okay? Any questions? All right, so what you're going to do on your assignment today, I'll put this out here in a little bit. These are just the questions that I want you to do. I want you to do questions 1 through 6, 13 through 17, and I want you to try number 20. 20 looks kind of like 18 down here. I know we didn't cover one like that, but I want to see if you can solve it. You should be able to do it. Just do the cross products. Challenge yourself a little bit while you're doing that one. You are not taking a test today. There it is. It is also inside of Schoology, and I think the answer key might be there as well. If it's not, I'll make sure it's there.